All right, you should have your notes packet, your Unit 10 notes. That is where these are, what this is coming from. So if you will flip over to the part that says Other Angle Relationships in Circles, it's almost at the end of this notes packet, or a little bit more than halfway through. If you need to pause the video so you can find this section, then please do that now. All right, there are a couple of relationships that we've already talked about. We've talked about how inscribed angles work and how the different angle relationships that you have with central angles and inscribed angles. This next one that we're going to talk about is what happens when you have a tangent in a chord. Remember, a tangent is a segment or a line that touches the circle in only one point, exactly one point. And if a tangent in a chord intersected a point, then the measure of the angle is 1/2 the measure of its intercepted arc. 1/2. So that means that this angle 1 is 1/2 the arc BA, its intercepted arc. The angle 2 is 1/2 the arc ACB. So I'm going to write that down. Measurement of angle 1 is 1/2 arc BA. And the measurement of angle 2 is 1/2 the other arc, ACB. The type of problems that you will see with this are the ones like the examples below. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. That's the wrong button. Looking at example 1, part A, you can see that you have this angle right here. Its intercepted arc is 150 degrees. So the measurement of that angle 1 is going to be 1/2 that 150 degrees. So you can get your calculator and divide 150 by 2. You get that that arc is 75 degrees. On the next one, on part B, you have that the angle measure is 130 degrees. So I need to find the arc. We're going to find this arc right here, PSR. The measurement of arc PSR is twice that of this angle 130 degrees because this is the half. So to get to the arc, I'm going to multiply it by 2, which would be 260 degrees. That's the arc measure that goes with the angle P. Again, if you have the arc, you're going to divide it by 2. If you have the angle, you're going to multiply it by 2. Look at part C. On this one, I'm looking for angle 1, which I have the arc. So I'm going to take angle 1 and say that it is 1/2 that arc measure, which is 1/2 172 degrees, which you take your calculator and divide it, you get 86 degrees. And then on this last one, you have this arc over here. This one is 128 degrees. I need the arc that goes with this angle, which would be this other side over here. This is the intercepted arc that goes with angle 1. Well, if I know that the piece on the left is 128 degrees, the one that I've outlined in red, and then the yellow, if you can look and see that it makes a full circle. So if I need this arc on this side, I just take the 128 and subtract it from 360. And 360 minus 128 degrees is 232 degrees. Then to get back to the arc, I'm just going to say that it is 1/2 of that. So the measurement of angle 1 is 1/2 of 230. That's supposed to be a 2 degrees. Let me see, 232 degrees. And when you divide that in half, divide it by 2, you get that that angle measure is 116 degrees. So again, if you have a chord and a tangent that meet at that point of tangency, the angle is half of the arc, or the arc is twice the angle. If you look at all 4 of those problems, you are either multiplying by 2 or dividing by 2, because that is the relationship with those. You need to pay attention to that and make sure that you understand that. If you need to fill in any of those notes, please pause the video as we are talking, or as I'm talking if you get behind me. The second type of problem that we can have with angle relationships in chords deals with chords that intersect inside the circle. So I have these 2 chords that intersect at this point inside the circle. If 2 chords intersect inside the circle, the measure of each is 1/2 the sum of the measures of the arcs intercepted by the angle and its vertical angle. So basically, angle 1 is 1/2 the sum of these two arcs, AB and DC. Angle 2 is 1/2 the sum of the two arcs, BC and AD. The angle and its vertical angle. Again, AB and DC would go with angle 1, angle 2, AD and BC would go with those two. So I'm going to write it like this. The measure of angle 1 is 1/2 the sum of these two arcs, AB and DC. Sum means add. The measure of angle 2 is 1/2 the sum of its intercepted arc and the vertical angles arc, so AD and BC. Another thing that happens or another relationship that we have with segments in a circle are the three relationships that are below this. All three of these are the same relationship. It's just that we have three different types of segments. So I have one secant, one tangent, two tangents, and then two secants. All of them form the same relationship, and that is that the angle is 1/2 the difference of the two intercepted arcs. If I have this arc here as X and the arc AC is Y, that means the measurement of angle 1 is 1/2 Y minus X. You subtract the two arcs and take half of it. The measurement of angle 2 with two secants is 1/2 Y minus X. You subtract the arcs and take 1/2 of it. The measurement of angle 3, that external angle, is 1/2 Y minus X. If those two arcs are labeled as Y and X. So for all of these, notice that with your angle inside the circle, you're adding them together and taking half. When the angle is outside the circle, you are subtracting them and taking half. So 1/2 Y minus X. 1/2 Y minus X. Angle 3 is 1/2 Y minus X. So if you flip over to the next page, we're going to look at what the examples look like with these different types of problems. When you're doing your assignment, match the problem to the picture that we just talked about in these. Match it to one of these pictures. Is it this type of problem? Is it this type of problem? Or one of these on the bottom where you have the different things that you can do. If I look at example 2, example 2 is one of the chord problems. So I have two chords that intersect inside the circle. The measurement of this, X, is 1/2 the sum of these two arcs. So I'll do the measurement of angle X is 1/2 174 plus 106. Well, when I add 174 and 106 together, you get 280. So 1/2 times 280. And then you take half of that, you get that angle measure is 140 degrees. All right, and then with the next one, number 8, again, this is chords that intersect inside the circle. So this angle 1 is going to be 1/2 131 plus 33. So you add these two together, divide them by 2. So the measure of angle 1 is 1/2 131 plus 33. Add them together, divide by 2. When you add 131 and 33 together, you get 164. Take half of that, you get that angle measure is 82 degrees. All right, the next type of problem is the one below where we have this external angle. And this external angle is 72 degrees. The two arcs are 200 and X. I know that the measurement of that external angle is 1/2 the arc GDE. I'm just going to name that GDE minus that arc FG. I'm going to set up an equation to solve this. I already have the measurement of angle H, which is 72 degrees. And then it is 1/2 GDE, which was 200 degrees. And FG is X. I have an equation that we can solve here. I'm going to distribute this 1/2 first. You have 72 equals 1/2 of 200 is 100. 1/2 of times X is 1/2 X. We subtract 100 from both sides. You get negative 28 equals negative 1/2 X. And then when you have a fraction, you flip it and multiply. So I'm going to flip this to -2/1. Flip that to -2/1. You get x equals -2 times 28 is 56 degrees. So again, the process of setting this up, I was just subtracting the two arcs and then taking half of that, and that equals the angle measure. Again, if you need to pause the video, you can to finish writing that down. On part D, the two angle measures that are two arc measures that I need are this arc that I've already got, which is 170 degrees, but I also need the other part of the intercepted arc, which would be this part right here. And I don't have that yet, but I can find it by seeing that, all right, well, I have two pieces of the whole circle. I need to subtract 360 minus 170 minus 135, and I get that this blue piece is 55 degrees. And then when I have the two pieces of the arc that are intercepted by this angle, that's the two pieces, I'm looking for this angle 1, I'm going to subtract them and take half. So 1/2, that 170 minus 55. 170 minus 55 is 115. So 1/2 of 115 is 57.5 degrees. Right. And then looking at part E, I have this part of the circle. The other part would be 360 minus that 80, which is 280. Those are the two arcs that I need to find that angle. It's 1/2, the larger arc minus the smaller arc. Both of those angles are intercepted by both of those tangents. So I'll do the measurement of angle X is 1/2, the 280 minus 80, which is 1/2 of 200, and that is 100 degrees. So the angle is 100 degrees. On part F, I have this inscribed angle. Remember, to get from an inscribed angle to the arc measure, we multiply it by 2. So that arc length is 128. That's what we did last class. The other arc I'm going to subtract from 360 to get the other piece of this circle, which is 232. 360 minus 128 is 232. Those are the two arcs that I need. I have this piece of this intercepted arc, and I have the other intercepted arc to make the pieces that I need for angle 1. So for the measurement of angle 1, I would do 1/2, 232 minus 128. 232 minus 128 is 104. And then when I take half of that, you get 52 degrees. All right, what I want you to do is pause the video right now and do parts G and H. All right, on part G, you already have the two arcs that you need, those measurements. If I think about the angle, look at the angle. The two arcs that it intercepts are that 43 degree angle and the 92 degree arc. Sorry, I said angle instead of arc. To find this angle, you're going to subtract them and take half, because this is an outside angle. So I'd subtract them and take half. So when you do that, you should have gotten 92 minus 43 is 49. 92 minus 43, half of that will be 24.5 degrees. On H, you had to find that little bitty piece of the arc right there. If you take out, do 360 minus 95, minus 85, minus 175, that gives you 5 degrees for that arc. Okay, it's supposed to be a 5, not a 50. 5 degrees for that arc. And then the two arcs that are intercepted are that arc and the 85 degree arc. So I would do 85 minus 5, which gives you 80. Half of 80 is 40 degrees. So that angle measure is 40 degrees. That is the first part of this lesson. So please go to the next video to watch the second part about segments.